Now, Cynthia, which quarterback has the best matchup of the week?
I really love Kyler Murray's opportunity against Washington this week. If you look to see what he did so well to evade and escape the pressure from the 49ers, yeah, it was rush the ball, which is great for fantasy purposes. Washington will bring the heat up front, but they're a little banged up in their secondary, so I like the passing opportunity. I like the rushing opportunity. Kyler Murray is my favorite matchup this weekend.
Well, if we're talking about matchups, we're not talking about the actual quarterback, then I'm allowed to talk about Mitch Trubisky. And like, why are you laughing? The matchup sound. Like, why is that a joke? He's going up against the Giants. They've allowed the fourth most fantasy points so far this season. It's one game, but still, you're just talking about the matchups. And I know there was an effort to upgrade the secondary for the Giants this year. They brought in James Bradbury, but DeAndre Baker's no longer there. So I do believe as long as the Bears get down double digits, Trubisky will be huge in this game.
He was huge in the fourth quarter, legitimately a good game for Mitch, and we saw what Cam Newton was able to do against the Dolphins defense. For me, it's Josh Allen this week. We saw what he looks like in this offense in week 1. 46 attempts. He was also the leading rusher. These are James Harden usage rate numbers, and if you're a trends believer, Josh Allen has 8 touchdowns and 1 pick in his last 3 starts against the Dolphins. The ultimate YOLO quarterback, I think, due to the matchup, is a safe start this week. Let's keep it in the backfield. Marcus, who's the best running back matchup this week?
I love Ronald Jones's matchup, and I know we're still sort of having that online debate about how the Bucs backfield is going to shake out, but at least after 1 week, Bruce Arians was serious when he said that Rojo was really the guy in the backfield. Had 20 total opportunities, 17 carries, 3 targets, and now he gets this Panthers defense that was gashed by Josh Jacobs in the Raiders run game in week 1.
Well, if you look to see what happened in week 1, you got to look at Derrick Henry, who, even though he didn't have his best game, I mean, he only finished, I don't know, something like 13th, something along those lines. That's not going to be the case going forward. The matchups that he's had with Jacksonville before, like he has this week, something like 29.3 fantasy points per game over the last 3 and 7 touchdowns in the last 3 games versus Jacksonville. Derrick Henry is going to be your RB, 1, 2, 3, something like that. I think we're going to see my rankings later in the show.
And folks, yes, if not for the touchdowns, Dalvin Cook would have been a horror to those who drafted him in the first round in week 1. But you can't just hand wave away points. He actually scored those. Game flow wasn't working for him in week 1. He still produced. Cousins consistent to a fault. I don't think we will see a game like that this time around. Believe there's a lot of action this week for Dalvin to cook against the Colts. Now, let's move over to wideouts now. Rank, you are looking at the Vikings-Colts game. Who you see?
Absolutely. I'm going to look at T.Y. Hilton, who obviously didn't have a great game against Jacksonville in week 1, but I look at this matchup against the Vikings. This isn't the same Vikings defense that we've seen in the years past. It's kind of like when you were a kid and you paid big money to go see Dishwalla, and then now they're opening up the local supermarket playing for free. And that's the way the Vikings defense is now. You don't have to tell me all your thoughts on God. You just got to start all your receivers against them.
All I know is that you're just over here counting blue Colts. Anyway, I'm looking at Allen Robinson, who's going up against the New York Giants this week. And the Giants corners, they had issues with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We saw that on Monday night. We know Allen Robinson has been able to succeed regardless of the quarterback. And who knows, maybe he wants a trade, maybe he doesn't. I guess it depends on who you're asking. The one thing I know is that he's got a safe target floor, had 7 or more targets in 14 games last season. He's a pretty stable week-to-week guy. And if he gets in the end zone, then you get an even bigger bonus from him.
You talk about safe target floors. What about a guy who had 17 targets versus Minnesota in week 1? That's your wideout number 1, Devante Adams last week, who again this week draws a great matchup against my Detroit Lions, who are lie downs is more like the name. Adam Rank can attest to that. I love Devante Adams' opportunities this week again. And look, when you have Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball and you have the Lions, and Matthew Stafford will put up some points. So you have a game script that means that they're going to need some passes, and you're kind of the main guy. So for me, Devante Adams, best matchup.
The Vikings were powerless against number 17 on Sunday.